Good evening, Daf Kuf Aleph Amud Aleph, third wide line towards the bottom. Ravina Amar Ravina says, Hachama Eskina, what's the case we're talking about regarding the wool and the dye, where people are not sure who's chayav, or is the wool able to be returned with the dye or without the dye? The wool belonged to one guy and the dye belonged to another guy. The Ka'ati Kof and a random monkey came along, but he mixed the dye with the wool, right? So not stealing, just the monkey, a random monkey mixed it. Yes, does that mean that the wool got improved and therefore the Amar have this manai, the owner of the dye can tell the guy, give me back my ingredients or pay them. Or maybe it's not considered an improvement on top of it. But the guy can tell him back, I don't have anything of yours. Tashma, we bring a proof. A garment that was used to be dyed with peels of orla fruit, right? So if you have a tree in the first 3-4 years, you can't use the fruits. So now you can't even use the peels of the fruits as dye. Let's say it was used. Alma, you have to burn it. Alma hazuta miltahi. So we see from here that an appearance is something significant. Where it says the meravah, and again, no. That's different. Over there, it's an item that's visible to the eyes, and that's asur turab only by orla. Tanya. Arelim lo ye achel. You cannot eat it. I know you can't eat it. I don't know that I can't have any benefit. You can't dye it. And I can't use it to light fire. Therefore, the pasuk says, you shall treat its fruit as asur. You can't use it. To include all types of usages that they are asur. Tashma. A garment that was dyed with the peels of Shemitah items, right? Shemitah items are also asur to be used during the times. So we see also has to be burnt. So we see another thing that appearance is considered material, and you should also pay back the case of the monkey. Gemara says Shaniato, no, Shemitah is also different. The Amar Kara, the pasuk says Tihiyeh, it shall be. The fruit has to remain as is, and it'll always remain as is, even if you use it to dye something else, and that's why the case of dyeing would be asur. Okay. Rava has a question in Stira and Mishnayot, contradiction. Tanan, one Mishnah said, Begech Silbikli Arla like. An item was used but dyed with the peels of orla, you have to light it on fire. Therefore, we see appearance is significant. But the meaning of Stira, right? In general, a person who passes away, or if he eats dam, certain measurement of blood, if that is enough, that came from the corpse, that is enough to make it that the person that's enough to make tumat met, make people tameh. Right? Big she'ela for Hatzalam members. Anyhow, so if the Ravita Dam came from the corpse into the house, right? So we're going to discuss there's a difference whether it came from while he was alive, it leaked out of him while he was alive, or after he died. But in the meantime, Habai Tameh, anytime the quarter of a log of blood makes the house tameh. But some people say habayit tahor is tahor. So what does it mean? Lopically, it's not a stira. Habay klim dahavu me'ikara. When it says tameh, it's referring to when the blood was still there before it began absorbing into the floor. That the stuff that was in the house from before, that's already tameh. Fine. Habay klim da'atum disof. But the things that came into the house after the blood moved in to the house, after the blood absorbed into the house, that is tahor. Anyhow, if the blood was onto a garment, we check. If we wash out the garment and a quarter log of blood will come out, tameh. The imlav, and it's not, tahor. It's tahor. Right? How do you wash out the garment? You put in a certain amount of water, you measure the water, say a gallon of water, then you pour it out. And if you have an extra quarter log of liquid on top of that gallon of water, you now know you had a quarter log of blood. Very smart idea. Right on Barashi. But anyhow, so we see from there that if you can wash it out, etc., it doesn't make a difference in how it looks. Even if it looks bloody, it doesn't make it tameh. So we see that appearance is not considered something against what we said with the orla. Where it says Amarav Kahana shanu kan. Over there, it's learning a kula leniency regarding the blood. Bedam tevusa drabanan because tumat tevusa, which is blood that came out while the guy was alive. It's only drabanan is tameh, but in general, if it came out from the corpse while he was dead, that would be much more machmir. That's doraita. From a certain pasuk teaches us that, and that's why it'll be tameh by that person, but over here is only referring to the Rabbanan, and therefore we went mekel, and we were said it's not tameh. Okay, Ravad Amir, Tran, we have a Mishnah. Imin hatzav'in, from the type of dyes that you can make from fruits that are shemitah. As a halachot, what's considered shemitah, what's not. Sevi'hi satim ve'kosim, types of safflower and woad. I'm not sure what that is. Also, Yeshlan Shvit and the Shvit, they are subject to Shemitah laws, and also things that are paid for it are also that money becomes Shemitah. Yeshlan Bi'arub, also that considered it should be burnt, and if something gets paid, they should burn that or destroy that. Alma Yasim Yeshbehan Mishum Shvit. If we see wood in general has Shvit, what's the problem? Ale Kanim Ale Givanim. Leaves of reeds and leaves of grapevine that you gather them in a field to put into winter storage. If you gather them for if you gather them for food, they have din shemitah. But if you gather them for firewood, we see they do not have shemitah laws. So we see from here that firewood and wood, is not. Wood in general is not shemitah. So how come by the dyes it is considered shemitah? Gemara has a mishani. Amar kala, the pasuk says la'ochla. You have to eat it. That means that the eating, yani the benefit, is the same time it gets consumed, just like food. You eat the food, the benefit, and the consumption at the same time. So too over by wood, also has to be the same time like the dye. However, yatsu, which excludes etzim shenatan harbiyan, which shemitah excludes shemitah wood that's being used for baking, which comes out after it's already being burnt. Okay. But there's a different type of wood that has two in one. The oily wood that's used to literally light fire with, and therefore that's the benefit and the consumption at the same time, right? You're lighting it for fire and it's getting consumed at the same time, two wood for one. That fits the criteria. Marabar says, that's different because wood in general is used for fire, and therefore we're talking about the wood in general, and wood in general, the benefit comes afterward. Okay, the halachot of burning wood for Shemitah during Shemitah is a machlokes tanaim. Tanya the Brenta says, "En moshin perot l'shvit." You cannot give Shemitah fruits lo mishra v'lo kvuza, not to use as soaking water and not to use as laundering water. Rabbi Yosef says, "Natein perot shvit toch mishra lo toch kvuza." You can use them for soaking flax and for laundering stuff. So my time the Pasuk says you can't eat it, which means you can't eat it, but you're allowed to use. Sorry, you can eat it, but you shouldn't use it for soaking. You can eat it, but you can't use it for laundering. Says, when the Pasuk says it's for you, it doesn't mean only eating. It's an extra word lachem to teach you that's for you, whatever you want to use it, any usage. But Hakamim also says lachem. So what do they do with that word lachem? It's not to teach you that you're able to use it for whatever you want. Lachem dima de achla. No, the word lachem is comparable to the word of eating, which is the benefit that happens at the same time of consumption, like food. Which excludes using shemitah stuff to soak and to launder because the benefit comes after the consumption. What does Rabbi Yossi do with the word to eat? If not what we did like just now with the other rabbi that teaches you that the other rabbi uses the ochla to teach you that the consumption has to be like food, same time. He'll tell you how need that word for the braita. Tanya, because you can eat it, but not to use it as a medication. You want to use it like a medicated dressing. I know you can eat it. You can eat it, but not dressing. Maybe it means to eat it and not to use it as laundering. Therefore, the pasuk says lachem. Is referring to laundering. What do they do with the to eat it? To eat and not to use for medication. Gemara says, why would you include the laundering? Exclude the medication. Maybe the answer is I include the laundering versus the medication because everybody could use it. Medication, laundering. Sorry, everybody could use laundering at all times. I'll exclude the medication because that's only not used for everybody. Only certain people need medicated items. Okay, which according to which bright Rabbi Yossi and Rabbanan. So now who said the following Braita? Who's the author? The Ochlav lo mugmal, the Braita says over there, you can eat it, but not to use medication. The Ochlav lo leziluf, to eat it and not use for sprinkling, like to make your house smell good. The Ochlav to eat it, lo la'asot minna apictozine, not to use it as an emetic. An emetic is an item that you use to make yourself throw up. Comes and the word apictozine is apik means take out, extra, zone food. Right? So people used to use certain foods to make themselves throw up if it was they felt full. So they wanted to remove that with this type. So you can't use Shemitah items to make yourself vomit. Sorry, this is according to Rabbi Yossi opinion, who holds of sorry, he says Lachem teaches you all uses. So it holds like Rabbi Yossi. The Eater Krabnana, because it was Chachamim who holds that you can only eat it and not for anything else. Rabbi Yossi says you can eat it and you can eat it for laundering and other stuff. Because there's Chachamim who holds you can only eat it and nothing else. Ikanami Mishra Ukbusada, but I thought I should have excluded also soaking and laundering, because he holds you can't use that. So if you were excluding only the emetic, only these type of things, the vomiting and the sprinkling, it should have also mentioned the laundering and the soaking. And since it did mention it, it's not according to Hachamim. It would have to be according to Rabbi Yosef. A few more lines. Rabbi Da said in the Mishnah that if the expenses is more than the improvement, or the improvement more than expenses, you pay the lower number. Rabbi Yosef was sitting behind Rabbi Abba, committed in front of Ravuna. Ravuna was saying, Halacha Rabbi Yeshua ben Korcha, halacha is according to Rabbi Yeshua ben Korcha, but halacha Rabbi Yehuda, halacha is according to Rabbi Yehuda. We'll explain soon. Meantime, Rabbi Yosef turned away. He was very upset. Amar, he said, Bishlam Rabbi Yeshua ben Korcha makes sense according to Rabbi Yeshua ben Korcha to mention the halacha according to him. Itzrich. He has to mention that. Because in general, if you have one rabbi against many, then the halacha is according to the Yachid, the Rabbim, sorry, the majority. Many, not the single rabbi. And therefore, over here, the teacher that the halacha is according to Rabbi Yeshua ben Korcha against the Rabbim. That's the Hidush. And why do you have to teach me this? This makes sense to teach me because this is a Hidush. And even though Rabbi Yeshua ben Korcha is single, going against many rabbis, the halacha is still against the Rabbim, and the halacha is according to the single Yachid. What is the Braita of Rabbi Yeshua ben Korcha? Rabbi Yeshua ben Korcha Mahid, Tanya Braita says, Rabbi Yeshua ben Korcha, Rabbi Yeshua ben Korcha says, Milva b'shtar en nifra'in behen, a documented loan. You should not collect a loan from a goy, if you have a paper, a shtar, before their chag, because they might think like, oh, look, they'll come into their chag and they'll think they're God, they're avodah zarah, for allowing them to pay back the loan. However, an oral loan, which you don't have an easy chance of pulling in, an easy chance of forcing them to pay you because you don't have a paper, you can take before their holiday, even though they might think they're gods, because you're at a chance of losing it, and therefore you're saving your money from their hands, because there's a chance that you may not be able to collect it because it's only an oral loan. And we'll continue here tomorrow. Amen.